So right now we're in the middle of a 6-week challenge, and the way that we designed this challenge is pretty much a high protein, low carb, low fat, or moderate fat, moderate carbohydrates, but fairly high protein. About 40 to 50% of our macros are coming from protein. And the main reason why we do that is because protein is the one energy source or macronutrient that really doesn't spill over a lot into fat. I mean, if you have a high carb diet, then what ends up happening is if you're not utilizing those carbohydrates efficiently, your body will almost instantaneously convert them into fat, regardless of what type of carbohydrate they are. If you go high fat, then you face the issue of if you don't know what or how many calories are in each items that you're eating of fat, then what happens is it'll be in abundance, and anytime you go into abundance of calories, your body stores it as fat. So protein is kind of like that in between where it's still low calorie and you can still get your best bang for your buck. And really, it's simplified nutrition, right? When it comes to deciding on what types of protein you should eat, it's not rocket science, right? Like if you want to get a protein in you, everybody knows that you can have a chicken breast. Well, if you don't want chicken breast, you can have a chicken thigh. If you don't want to have a chicken thigh, you can go and have beef. If you want to have beef, you can go and have fish, right? It basically boils down to those four main nutrition sources. But if you're vegan or vegetarian or have food allergies or religious beliefs, that's where it becomes a little bit more complex. But generally, a high protein, moderate carbs, moderate fat diet is easy to follow. Now, there's some thought processes as to like including a cheat meal or when should you put carbohydrates back in you. So if you're working out, right? So, I'm primarily talking to the people in the Fit Fam. So if you're working out, then you definitely need to re-carb up, okay? So what I mean by that is once a week, we allow any type of meal that they want. And again, this is a weight loss, fat loss challenge. It's not like, it's something that you can definitely do sustainable for the rest of your life, because that's basically how I do my meal planning, is that I'll do 2 refeeds, okay? Basically, that's what I call them. So you can call them a cheat meal or you can call them a refeed. To me, I call them refeeds because of the fact that I'm not going out and generally I'm not eating food in abundance, meaning that I'm not sitting down and eating a whole, pack of Twizzlers, right? And then I'm going to go and have ice cream, and then I'm going to go, like, it's not a cheat day, it's literally a cheat meal. And I'll generally incorporate them twice a week. Now, for the challengers, we incorporate them once a week for 2 reasons. The number one reason is to replenish carbohydrates back into your system. And whenever you replenish carbohydrates back into your system, especially if you work out at Fit Club, is that we incorporate a lot of resistance training. Now, if you were a runner, right? So let's say that you just want to, you just like to run. So you're running 5K, 10Ks, you're running on the treadmill, you're more of a cardio-based athlete, then your intensity and the demand on your muscles isn't as high as if you were doing heavy resistance training. And primarily when you're working out in the Fit Fam, the resistance training that we incorporate is Tabata style, and you're going to be generally pushing your muscles to complete fatigue. And so what happens when the muscles get pushed to complete fatigue, they can only store so much carbohydrates in them to be able to produce these actions. The more muscle you get and the longer you do it, the better trained you get at being able to store carbohydrates. And like the more frequently that you work out, your body gets trained to be able to be more efficient with the carbohydrates that they consume. Now, when you work out Monday through Friday, we give you that one meal a week that allows you to replenish all the carbohydrates that you burnt out from Monday to Friday. And that's why a lot of people generally will feel pretty fatigued by the time Friday hits. And that's why I always recommend to take 2 days off. So if you're working out Monday through Friday and then you get your big refeed on Saturday, then by Monday, so today, a lot of people will feel phenomenal, right? Because the muscles are like recharged. It's like your phone, right? So when you're working out, it's like Monday, your phone is fully charged. Tuesday, it might be at 80%. Wednesday, 70, right? Thursday, 50. Friday, you might be down to 30. And then by Saturday, if you do another workout, you're pretty much at 0. And then you put those carbohydrates back in you, and then you shoot yourself back up to 100%. And so that's basically what a refeed will do do for you, or a cheat meal or a treat meal, whatever the hell you want to call it. I call it a refeed. And when I do my refeeds, I try to put it with the foods that are, I like to put rice back in me, right? I'm of Asian descent. And so for me, I know that I have no GI, so gastrointestinal issues when I consume rice. But let's say I go and have like some really heavy doughy food, then generally like my stomach, or dairy, right? Generally my stomach won't agree with it. And in fact, I'll retain a lot of that water, and I'll look bloated and feel bloated for the next 2 days. So that's what I went and had for my cheat meal on Saturday, was what's called a vermicelli. So it's a rice noodle. And by like Sunday, my body looked full again, right? I looked like I actually had muscle. And by today, like I'm ready to lift, right? So another question that pops up is, can you still drop weight and build muscle? And 100% you can still drop weight and build muscle as long as you're doing your refeeds properly, right? So if you're focusing on your weight and you're in a caloric restriction, you're naturally going to lose weight, right? Like if you do it with the long sustained approach, meaning about 500 calorie deficit a day, then you will you'll lose weight, right? And your refeed, the way that we have it designed, is that it's still going to keep you in a caloric deficit, but and so it's going to continue to keep your body dropping weight. Now, how do you build muscle? Exactly what I talked about, is that muscle does require carbohydrates. Now, you can do another method, and this is for another talk, called keto, right? So people have heard of keto. I haven't seen much success with keto, and it's not something that I would, unless you're like really trained for it, but it's not something that I would recommend that if you're doing a Fit Club workout to be on keto, because of the fact that it is a higher fat, and your body will get more efficient at burning fat. And I've done keto, and it works really well. The only problem is like your ability to push yourself within the weight room, right? So to be able to lift weights, it drops, right? Your intensity of your workout, it drops a little bit. So you're going to get about a 10 to 20% decrease in performance, but then overall, you're going to continue to burn fat. So, it's a trade-off. So can you build muscle on this high protein diet? 100%. But it's important that we put that treat meal back in us. And the cleaner the treat, the better, right? So the cleaner the treat that you can do that's more aligned with what works with your body, the better, because then you're not going to retain water, you're not going to be bloated, and it's not going to spill over to fat. So that's it for today. And I'll do another post tomorrow. But I want to see everybody get 1% better, be the best versions of you. And I'll see you on the blue.